Okay. Good afternoon to all my students who have registered for both assistant engineer and the junior engineers. Okay, my students, actually today I already told you about those particular basic questions in transportation engineering, which is for both assistant engineers and also the junior engineers who have registered for assistant engineer and the junior engineers. Today, in continuation with this particular subject, that is transportation engineering for both assistant engineer and the junior engineers. My boys, I am going to start with the things side by side. I'm going to talk about the concept of the subject. Okay. Now coming back to this one, the question comes is in this fashion: if B is the wheel track of the vehicle and H is the height of the center of the gravity above the road surface, then to avoid overturning and the lateral skidding on a horizontal curve, the centrifugal ratio always be there are four answers are there. The centrifugal ratio should always be what? Okay, there are four answers again, my boys. That is less than B by 2H and greater than coefficient of lateral friction of the lateral friction. Okay, lateral friction of lateral friction. So again, it is less than B by 2H and less than coefficient of lateral friction. And third is the greater than B by 2H and less than coefficient of lateral friction. And fourth answer is greater than B by 2H and also the greater than coefficient of lateral friction. The answer is the B, that is which should be, it should be less than B by 2H and less than coefficient of lateral friction. Less than coefficient of friction. Okay. So now the answer, I am going to club the answer and the question. Okay. If B is the wheel track, again first I am going to read it now. If the B is the wheel track of the vehicle and H is the height of the center of the gravity above the road surface, then to avoid overturning and the lateral skidding on a horizontal curve, the centrifugal ratio should always be, what is the answer? It should be less than B by 2H and less than coefficient of lateral friction. This is what exactly answer. Okay. Coming to the next one. For the design of the super elevation, for a mixed traffic condition, the speed is reduced by. Okay. So you must have this one. Again, there are four answers are there. See, for a design of the super elevation, for a mixed traffic condition, the speed is reduced by. There are four answers are there. One is A is 15%, B is 20%, and C is 25%, and D is 75%. My boys, the right answer is 25%. See, why this answer is 25% is right. So now, for the speed, exactly why it is to be, why the super elevation for the mixed traffic, the speed is, why the speed is reduced by 25% mean this particular speed, whenever it is being reduced by 25%, then at the same time the super elevation so provided, you will be taking the balance, that is equal to that is 7.5%, whatever that it is being taken, 1 in 15. Okay. So then I am going to club the answer here. For the design of the super elevation for a mixed traffic condition, the speed, understand, the speed is reduced by 25%, understand or not? So mean the super elevation so provided for the mixed traffic condition is always for the 75% of the design speed, not for the 100% of the design speed. Therefore, for the design speed of the super elevation, for a mixed traffic condition, the speed is reduced by, answer is 25%. There are four answers are there, my boys. One is 15%, second is 20%, third is 25%, and D is 75%. The right answer is 25%. The speed reduced will be about 25%. So then coming to the next, on a horizontal curve, the pavement is kept horizontal. If the pavement is kept horizontal across the alignment, then the pressure on the outer wheel will be, but no, on the horizontal curve, if the pavement is kept horizontal, on horizontal curve, the pavement is kept horizontal across the alignment, then the pressure on the outer wheel will be, there are four answers are there, boys. More than a pressure on the inner wheels, less than the pressure on the inner wheel, equal to the pressure on the wheels, and there will be a answer is 0 also. The 0 is also thing, the pressure will be 0 also. So my boys, always on the horizontal curve, if the things will be there, the payment is kept horizontal across horizontal, then there will be pressure. Then the pressure on the outer wheel will be more on the pressure on the inner wheel. It is more than the pressure. Then the pressure on the outer wheel will be more than the pressure on the inner wheel. Correct or not? So whenever the curve is exactly is there, then the always the vehicle will be, whenever the vehicle is negotiated, then then there will be more and more pressure on the outer wheel than the inner wheel, because when the vehicle is being turned, then there will be more and more pressure on the outer wheel than the inner wheel. Okay, that is what the right answer is. That I am going to read the question. On a horizontal curve, if the pavement is kept horizontal across the alignment, then the pressure on the outer wheel will be more than the pressure on the inner wheel. The right answer is A, first one. It will be more than the pressure on the inner wheels. Okay. Now the equilibrium super elevation. No, equilibrium super elevation required to counteract the centrifugal force fully is given by. No. So now the equilibrium super elevation. The equilibrium super elevation required to counteract the centrifugal force fully is given by 4 answers are there. V square by 27.5 R, then V square by 75 R, then 0.75 V, that is 0.75 V square by 127 R, then the fourth one is V square by 127 R. The answer is right, the right answer is the fourth one, D. The answer is the fourth one, D, that is V square by 127 R. So the equilibrium super elevation always to counteract the centrifugal force, then the equilibrium super elevation so provided will be equal to V square by 127 R, Okay. Then coming to the next one, for a constant value of a coefficient of lateral friction, the value of the required super elevation increases. Okay, question, try to understand the question. For a constant value of a coefficient of a lateral friction, the value of required super elevation increases with what? The answers are 4. So it increases in both speed and radius of the curve, and increases in both speed, increase in speed and with the decrease in the radius of the curve, and the fourth one is decrease in speed and with increase in the radius of the curve. The right answer is C, increase in the speed with a decrease in the radius of the curve. When you increase the speed and when there is a decrease in the radius, then what is going to happen? For a constant value of the coefficient of lateral friction, the value required of super elevation increases. Correct or not? Therefore, you have to increase the super elevation if you want to increase the speed of the vehicle, and also if you at the same time if there is a decrease in the radius of the curve. Okay, I am going to club it once again. For a constant value of the coefficient of lateral friction, the value of the required super elevation increases with what? Increases with answer is C, increase in speed and with a decrease in the radius of the curve. Okay, coming to the next. To calculate the minimum value of the ruling gradient of the horizontal curve in planes, okay, the design speed is given by, to calculate the minimum value of ruling radius, the ruling minimum radius they call it as, to calculate the minimum value of the ruling radius of the horizontal curve in planes, the design speed is given by, 4 answers are there, my boys. The design speed is A is 8 km per hour, and B is 12 km per hour, C is 16 km per hour, and D is 20 km per hour. So the right answer is C, it is 16 km per hour. Okay, to calculate the minimum value of the radius, ruling radius of the horizontal curve in the plane. Okay, in a plane, the design speed is given by 16 km per hour. It is a 16 km per hour, 16. Okay, then coming to the next one, the absolute minimum radius of the curve for a safe operation of the speed, the absolute minimum radius of speed of 110 km per hour is. So my boys, again this is again it is to be calculated E plus F equal to V square by 127 R. Then if you substitute the value of E equal to 0.07507, then the value of f equal to 0.15, then speed is already been given v equal to what is already there. If you substitute these three factors, then you will get the absolute minimum radius of a curve for a safe operation of a speed of 110 kilometer. The speed, the value of v is been given, then in the formula which I told just now, it is exactly that particular in the formula. If you substitute the value of v equal to 110, if you substitute the value of e equal to there is 0.75, then 0.075, sorry, then the f equal to 0.15, the absolute minimum radius of the curve for a safe operation of the speed of 110 kilometer is 4 answers are there. One is 110, second is 220, and third is 440, and the fourth one is 577. The right answer is 440. If you substitute the value in the equation just now I told, then you'll get what? You'll get the absolute minimum radius is coming to as 440 meter. 440 meter. Okay. Then coming to the next one, the attainment of the superelevation by rotation of the pavement about the inner edge of the things. So the attainment of the superelevation by rotation of the pavement about the inner edge of the pavement is again the 4 answers are there. I repeat question number 28. The attainment of superelevation by rotation of pavement, about the inner edge of the pavement. Again, so again the 4 answers are there. So first answer is preferable to step terrain. Second answer is results in balancing the earthwork, and third is avoids the drainage problem in flat terrain, and the fourth is does not change the vertical alignment of the road. The right answer is avoids the drainage problem in the flat terrain. Then if you want to attain the superelevation by rotation of the pavement about the inner edge of the pavement, that is that particular attainment of the superelevation leading to what? It avoids the drainage problem in the flat terrain. It avoids the drainage problem in the flat terrain. Next, select the correct statement. Okay, the correct statement are there. Psychological extra widening depends on the following number of traffic lanes. Okay, the psychological extra widening depends on the number of traffic lane. The mechanical extra widening depends on the speed of the vehicle. Then psychological extra widening depends on the length of the wheelbase. Then the fourth one is the psychological extra widening depends on the speed of the vehicle. I am going to give you the extra widening equation W equal to, okay, first one is the total extra widening is given by the mechanical widening and the psychological widening. Then in the formula, if you want to say in the formula, first one, it is mechanical widening equal to NL square by 2R plus, then the psychological widening is different from V by 9.5 under root what? Under root R. Okay, it is. Then again here the psychological the correct answer is the psychological extra widening depends on the speed of the vehicle. Understand or not? In the first one, the combination of the psychological widening and the mechanical widening. In the mechanical widening, the 2 will be there. NL square by 2R is there. There is no V is going to come. But only in the psychological widening only V by 9.5 under root R is there. Means V is the criteria. That's why the right answer is the correct statement here is the fourth one, D. The psychological extra widening depends on the speed of the vehicle. The speed of the vehicle. That's the answer. Then coming to the next, in case of hill roads, the extra widening is generally provided. In the case of the hill road, the extra widening is required. Understand? I told you already, the extra widening is always required for 2 reasons. One is called as the mechanical mechanical widening, and other is called as the psychological widening. So now what is asking, in case of the hill road, in hill roads, the extra widening is generally provided. The extra widening is generally provided. 4 answers are there, my point. Equally on the inner and the outer side of the curve. Second one, fully on the inner side of the curve. Then third is fully on the outer side of the curve. And D, fourth one, 1/4 on inner side and the 3/4 on the outer side of the curve. The right answer is B, that is fully on the inner side of the curve. Therefore, the extra widening is generally provided fully on the inner side of the curve in the case of the hill roads. The answer should be told in this fashion. Therefore, the extra widening is generally provided fully on the inner side of the curve, fully on the inner side of the curve in the case of the hill roads. The answer is B, fully on the inner side of the curve. Okay. Coming to the things, the mechanical extra winding required for a 10.5 meter wide pavement on a horizontal curve of radius r meter is given by. Okay. So again, it is if you substitute NL square by, look at things, it is NL square by 2R. Okay. NL square by 2R. Then here the number of lanes, again the mechanical extra winding for 10.5 meter wide on a horizontal curve of the things. Therefore, the 4 answers are there. One is the first answer is the n square by 2R. Second answer is 21 square by 3R, and third answer is 1 square, that is 1 square by R, and third is 31 square by 2R. The answer is the fourth one, it is 31 square by 2R. Understand or not? Here the NL square, N is number of lane, L is the length of the rigid wheelbase. It is N is the length of the rigid wheelbase. Therefore, number of lanes N, then multiplied by, if you take the 2 lane, the 2 into that is L, what is that? So that is going to give you the things. Okay, right? The mechanical extra winding required for a 10.5 meter wide pavement, 10.5. So again, what is the 10.5 meter? The 10.5 divided by 3.5 will be how much? So 3.5 plus 7 meter plus the another 3.5, that is a 3 lane road, correct or not? It is a 3 lane road. So then again, so this is again mechanical load, NL square by, sorry, N is how much? 3, L is again S7, so 7 into 3 is, so again it is a 7th is 31, that is 31 square by 2R, okay, NL square by 2R. So that is what exactly the answer. So okay, NL square by 2R. The fourth answer is the right answer. N is 3 and L is 7, so 7 3s are 21. Actually this would have been 21, my boys, exactly, answer is wrong exactly. The answer is D, correct only, it is not 31 square, because you know NL, N is number of lanes are 3, L is length of the rigid base is how much? It can be taken as 7 meter, is the length of the rigid base as a 7 meter. 7 into 3 will become 31, 7 3s are 21, 7 3s are 21, therefore it would have been 21 NL square, 21 square by 2R. The answer is the fourth one, right? Then coming to the next, the transition curve used on a horizontal alignment of the highway as per the IRC recommendation is, again there are 4 type of the transition curves are there. Again, the transition curve used for a horizontal alignment of the highway as per the IRC recommendation is, there are 4 answers are there. First answer is spiral, second answer is Laminscate, third is a cubic parabola, and fourth is any of the above. Okay, any of those. My boys, right answer is a spiral. The spiral shaped transition curve is used on a horizontal curve. The spiral shaped transition curve. There are again the first answer. The answer A is the right answer. The transition curve used in a horizontal curve, used in the horizontal alignment of the highway as per the IRC recommendation is a spiral. The shape of the transition curve is of spiral. The first answer is the right answer. A is the right answer, spiral. Again I read once again the question with the answer. The transition curve used in the horizontal alignment of the highway as per the IRC recommendations is a spiral. The answer 1 is the spiral. Then coming to the next, for a design, the length of the transition curve should be taken, which is again. So again, for this one I am telling you, based on first A answer A is based on the allowable rate of change of centripetal acceleration, then based on the rate of change of superelevation, and third is higher of the A and B, and the fourth answer is smaller of the A and B. Okay. Now first of all I am going to tell you the rate of change of this particular the transition curve, the length of the transition curve should be always designed always based on the 2 values. One is based on the allowable rate of change of centrifugal acceleration. Second is based on the rate of change of superelevation. So among the 2 things, higher the value of A and B, okay, higher of the, you should take based on the higher value of allowable rate of change of centrifugal, and it's also based on the rate of change of superelevation. So means you have to, the answer is C here, higher of the A and B, higher of the A means the higher value of based on the rate of change of centrifugal acceleration, and the second one is based on the higher value of rate of change of superelevation. So the question, I will tag the question with the answer. For the design, the length of the transition curve will be should be taken, which is the higher value, but no, which is higher value based on allowable rate of change of centrifugal acceleration, and also it is also a higher value based on rate of change of superelevation. The answer is C, higher of the A and B. Okay, that's okay. The maximum design gradient for a vertical profile of a road, the maximum design gradient for a vertical profile of the road. Okay, so maximum always there are 4 types of the gradients, my boys. Okay, there is a for a road, one is known as a ruling gradient, second is known as a limiting gradient, third is known as the exceptional gradient, and fourth is known as a minimum gradient. So here the maximum design gradient for a vertical profile of the road is, answer is A, ruling gradient. The ruling gradient, you take it from me, the ruling gradient is the maximum design gradient, the maximum design gradient, understand or not? Beyond that you cannot provide, understand? That is the maximum design gradient for a vertical profile of a road. Okay, now I will club the answer and the answer with a question. Now the maximum design gradient for a vertical profile of the road, is a ruling gradient. Ruling gradient is the maximum design gradient for a vertical profile of a road. Okay, answer is A. Next, the percentage compensation, that is percentage compensation in a gradient, the percentage compensation in a gradient for a ruling gradient of 4%. So now you have to compensate the gradient. You have to compensate compensate the gradient. How much percentage by compensation of the gradient? The percentage compensation in the gradient for a ruling gradient of 4% and horizontal curve of radius 760. Okay, 760 meter. If you take these particular value, then if you take that this particular for this 4% gradient and horizontal curve of a radius, we look here there will be not necessary of any compensation, because here you are having the bigger radius of 760 meter and the ruling gradient provided is 4%. Then here the answers are 4. Then first A is 0.1%, B is 1%, C is 10%, and D is no compensation. Here no percentage, no compensation is required. Answer is D, no compensation. So here no compensation is required. Therefore, the percentage of compensation in the gradient for the ruling gradient of 4% and the horizontal curve of the radius 760 meter is no compensation is required. Because why the no compensation? Because here there will be the radius of the horizontal curve is much more higher, which is 760 meter, and the ruling gradient provided is only 4%. The ruling gradient which is provided is only 4%. Okay, as both the values are within the limit, within the standard limit, therefore this particular, under these two conditions, no compensation is required. Then coming to the next answer, if a rolling gradient of 1 in 20, there is also a horizontal curve of radius 76 meter, then the compensated grade should be, okay. So then here if the rolling gradient is 1 in 20 and there is also a horizontal curve of radius 76 meter, then the compensated grade should be, again the 4 answers are there, it is a 3%, 4%, 5% and the 6%. So under these particular condition, so the answer is B, that is a 4%. There will be a 4% compensation is required for that particular ruling gradient of 1 in 20 and a horizontal curve of radius 76 meter. The answer is B, the 4%. Okay. The camber of the road should be approximately equal to the camber of the road. You know already what is the camber? It is the camber is nothing but a transverse slope given to the given in the direction of the cross section of the pavement, that is the transfer the camber. I told you already in the last class, the camber is nothing but a cross slope or a transverse slope given in the transfer direction of the pavement to drain off the rainwater? The answer question what is asking, the camber of the road should be approximately equal to, the camber of the road should be approximately equal to, there are four answers are there. One is a longitudinal gradient, second is 2 times the longitudinal gradient, then 3 times the longitudinal gradient, then the fourth one is half the longitudinal gradient, half the longitudinal. The answer is fourth one, it is half the longitudinal gradient. So again the camber it will be half of the longitudinal gradient. So whatever the gradient you are going to provide in the longitudinal direction, then the half of that longitudinal gradient will be given, will be taken as the camber of the road. Understand or not? Half of that particular gradient which has been provided in the longitudinal direction. So that is again it is to be provided as a camber. Okay. Now I am going to read the question. The camber of the road should be approximately equal to, the camber of the road should be approximately equal to half the longitude. Fourth answer, the answer is D, half the longitudinal gradient, half the longitudinal gradient. And then coming to the next one, next question, which of the following shapes is preferred in a valley curve? You have seen that valley curve is look like a valley and the summit curve is look like a parabolic curve. Okay. Now, okay, the which of the following shapes is preferred in a valley curve? What is the shape of the valley curve? Understand or not? What is the shape of the valley curve? The four answers are there. One is a simple parabola, and second is a cubic parabola, and third is one is a spiral parabola, and the spiral shape, and fourth is one is a lemniscate. The right answer is a cubic parabola. Cubic parabola is that shape, the shape of the value curve. Understand or not? Always the which of the following shape is preferred in a value curve? The cubic parabola is the shape which is preferred in a value curve. The right answer is B, the cubic parabola. Okay. Next, the value of the ruling gradient in planes as per IRC recommendation. The ruling gradient, I think I already told you, the ruling gradient is a maximum gradient which can be provided on the roads. Which is a maximum. Understand or not? There are again four are there. I already told you. The ruling gradient is a maximum gradient. The answer is that what could be the value of the maximum ruling gradient? The maximum value of the ruling gradient in plane. In plane means roads in plane as per the IRC recommendation. Four answers are there, my boys. 1 in 12, second is 1 in 15, third is 1 in 20, and the fourth is 1 in 30. The right answer is 1 in 30. If the 1 in 30 is, I repeat now, 1 in 30 is the maximum value of the ruling gradient. The maximum value of the ruling gradient in a plane terrain. In a plane terrain as per the IRC recommendation. So I repeat once, the value of the ruling gradient in a plane as per the IRC recommendation is, the answer is D, 1 in 30. 1 in 30. Vishwanath, ಮುಗಿತು. A fourth one.